Freeze. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Today we will be joined by Samantha King from Fempire Builders, and during this webinar, Samantha will be demystifying time management and help us to be focused and intentional in the day-to-day operations of our businesses. Thanks for joining us today, Samantha, and please begin whenever you're ready.
Awesome. I just wanted to quickly come on and say, hello, I'm a real person. It's, when we do these webinars, it's always nice to know that the person you're talking to is there. I'm welcoming you guys into my home office. So I've got my headphones in. Hopefully that will deter the little dog clicking that tends to happen from my puppy when she's wandering around. Well, she's not a puppy, she's older. But yeah, so welcome. I'm excited. I'm going to turn off this camera until we're done the webinar, and then I'll hop back on for some Q&A. You can type some questions into the chat if you have them. I'll try to get to them as I get through. If I don't, I will get to them at the end for the Q&A. So if you can I'm going to do the same thing Josie did. Just give me a little, hey, I can hear you in the chat. That really helps me know that my headphones are working, because you know how technology is. And then we can dive right in. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you so much. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about me right now. Let's get started, okay? Thank you, Melanie. I'm glad you guys can hear me. Yay, Linda, thank you. Okay, so let's dive into this. Okay, I'm excited to tell you guys about me. First, I want to talk about why we're here. And we're here to talk about time management. We're here to learn how I am managing my time and when we get to the next slide, you'll see everything that I've got going on. And I think we all have lots of stuff going on. So the important thing is when we're talking about time management is to learn how to set goals you can take action on and to implement the systems you need to achieve them. And that's really how you're going to start turning your everyday efforts into profits by the end of this webinar. You'll know the process that I use to do that. So I alluded a little bit to me. Who am I and what's all going on with me? Well, I'm a business strategist and mentor. I help busy boss moms like me get on track in their business and identify and map out opportunities to level up, and then work with them to implement the systems and processes within their businesses they need to make that growth happen. And a big part of that is the process, the Plan to Grow process that I'm going to share with you ladies today. After my second child was born, and you can see my little monkey Max up there in the top, my oldest, Penny, the one in the bottom there, was diagnosed with autism. And it was about that time when I knew that going back to the corporate world just wasn't going to work for me. It wasn't, having a 9-to-5 job wasn't going to work for me. And I had also gone through a really bad bout with postpartum depression. And it really changed the way I viewed life and the way I wanted to spend my time. And while I was trying to answer that now what question, I created FempireBuilders.com, which is a supportive community for female entrepreneurs across Canada, which is why I was so excited when the WESC team said, yeah, hey, come on and talk to some amazing women in Saskatchewan. Since May 2016, we have built this community to an amazing group of members that share their knowledge and lessons to coach, mentor, and empower each other to new heights, professionally and sometimes personally. And we gather in a free Facebook group, and there's the link right there. If you can't write it down right now, no big deal. We will share it again at the end of the webinar. Okay, so let's dive into this topic. When I talk to female entrepreneurs about time management and just business growth in general, they want a little bit of what's up in there, those smiling faces, those meetings happening, those hands shaking as we're closing deals. They also want it balanced with a little bit of relaxation time, a little bit of time for themselves, for their families, and just for their, for the things that they do outside of their business, because we are so much more than just our businesses. But what they keep getting is that frustrated face at the computer. I don't have enough time. I need to find more time. Things just aren't going the way that I want them to go. And, unfortunately, there isn't more time. Nothing that we can do can create more time in the day. So we have to be very intentional and very strategic about what goals and projects we're taking on and how we are spending the time that we have to make sure that we aren't spinning our wheels, to make sure that we are actually taking action every day that's going to turn into the results we want. Because you got to remember that the day you plant the fruit isn't the day you're going to eat the fruit. So how do we make sure that we plant the fruit and we're nurturing it and keeping it going so that eventually we are going to get to harvest and eat it, right? So think about that analogy in terms of your business and sales. And so I'd like to start this by talking about goal setting and why people give up. Why do people move on? Maybe they end up spinning their wheels because they've got squirrel syndrome or what have you. But in any case, they stop working towards the progressions of their goals and nurturing those seeds that they've planted to turn into fruit. It might be that they can't find the time or that they're overworked. They might feel that their problems are unique. They might resist change. Sometimes even when change is for the better, when we are moving towards something, it can feel a little bit scary and we might get that pit in the bottom of our stomach. A lot of the time we expect immediate results. And remember what I said, the day you plant the fruit is not the day you're going to eat that fruit. And the other piece is that we assume that once we take action, it's going to be smooth sailing the rest of the way. And we find that we're waiting until the end to celebrate our wins rather than celebrating the small wins along the way, because challenges are going to pop up and it's not going to be smooth sailing the rest of the way. And that's why it's important to celebrate every single step, whether it's a win, whether it's a challenge, celebrate it all as you move because it means growth. And even before they start thinking about the specifics of their goal and what that means and how they're going to get that and how they're going to achieve it, they might give up because they feel stuck in the past. They feel like they have something to lose. They resist change, or they're not sure where to start. And that is what this Plan to Grow process is going to help you with. It's going to help you figure out where to start. Okay? This process is going to help you focus on what you want and not what you don't want. It's going to have you setting goals that align with your vision for your business, for your life, for who you are. I'm going to show you how to make it realistic and make it so that you can just easily slide each one of these things into your schedule. We're going to get specific. And we're going to understand the difference between a goal and the tasks that it takes to achieve each one of those goals. Okay, and the it that I'm talking about is this Plan to Grow process. It's a process and some of the tools that I use with my clients and in my own business to help us all plan to grow amidst everything else that we are seeing, feeling, and doing day to day. It's how I've learned how to set goals that I can take action on today and how to implement the systems that I needed to achieve them. And the big idea with this process is it's about understanding how being more intentional in your business, having goals that are designed with the end in mind and come with a roadmap, and knowing what to do when distractions pop up will help you focus your day-to-day tasks so that you are not spinning your wheels. You're not wasting your time on things that aren't going to get you the results that you want, and that you can start turning your everyday efforts into profits. So what I want you to do is I want you right now to pick a goal that you've set for your business this year. And we're going to work on that goal during our time together right now in this webinar. Okay, I'm going to pause for a couple seconds, let you think about the goal. If you want, you can type in the chat and let me know, yeah, I've got it, I'm ready. And we'll see from there. Okay. All right. So with that goal in mind, I want you to look at the plan to grow process. The first thing is setting the goal, which you typically have already done because we are halfway through the year. But I'm always thinking about 2020, at this point in the year. And I'm always looking. Oh, I do apologize if you heard that. Unfortunately, that's what happens when you have a Mac that's connected to everything. I'm usually thinking about the next year at this point. I'm also thinking about my last quarter. So it's important to check in with the goals that you've set at this point of the year. So you've got your goal in your head. The next step is to make sure your goals align with your short and long-term business visions, then to create the roadmap so that you have smaller, more manageable tasks that can be slotted into your schedule easily. Then we are going to talk about how to protect the time in your schedule to complete these goals that are going to level up your business, and finding someone to hold you accountable and get to work. So we're going to go through each of these stages, and this slide will pop up again. So if you didn't take a screen capture of it right now, you've got the replay that Josie told you about, and it will show up again to help you remember. So the first step was set the goal. And once you've set the goal, remember how I said about goals that lack realism? I like you to take the time to make sure that your goal is specific, realistic, and is actually going to happen for you. So that's where I bring in the SMART goal setting method. And SMART goals are not new. You can Google them and find out more about them if you want. But today I'm going to teach you about how we SMART goal set the Fempire Builders way. Okay? So when we talk about the S in SMART, we talk about specific. And as I said before, a lot of the time goals don't get achieved because they aren't specific enough. I want you to be getting down to the nitty-gritty of your goal and also what achieving it will do for your business. So everything, when you get down to the nitty-gritty, you get down to every single little thing that needs to happen to achieve this goal. And then I want you to write a sentence that reminds you of what achieving this goal is going to do for your business. Because when you are questioning it, when you are frustrated, when you are feeling down in the dumps, that sentence is going to remind you why you need to stick with this and why it's worth it. Okay? And when you are thinking about specific, and when you are thinking about any goal, I want you always to be thinking about whether or not this goal is going to result in significant growth for your business this year. Is it going to help you level up? Because if it's not, this may not be the year to take it on. If it's not, this may be something that you spin your wheels on and takes up time that you don't already have, because it's not going to get you where you need it to go. And it's actually going to take away from other goals that you could have taken on that are going to have you level up. So that's an important question to be asking yourself. Okay, let's move on to measurable. You need to clarify when this goal is going to be met. And remember, a goal requires you to put on a project management hat on, because a goal, and I'll show you what I mean in a couple more slides, but a goal is the overarching thing that needs to be done, and it always comes with a list of tasks that need to be achieved. And I want you to sprinkle the deadlines for each of those tasks throughout the year. Whether it's quarterly, weekly, monthly, I generally break my deadlines down by quarter to ensure that I'm consistently working towards each of my goals, and not slamming myself with them all at once. Because if we sit down and say, in 2019, I want to achieve this, and we don't put a deadline attached to it, chances are you're going to either forget about it or it might get left till December 31st. And if you schedule everything for December 31st, you're not getting it done this year. And you're probably going to have a very busy December 31st trying to achieve it, right? Okay, next up is achievable. I never want you to play it safe, but I also don't want you setting yourself up for failure. When you're taking on a goal, you want to take on a goal that's going to take you a little bit out of your comfort zone and a little bit out of where your business is currently operating right now, right? A little bit out of your niche, a little bit out of your current sales numbers. Look at where you are in comparison to where you want to go, right? So where are you right now, and where is this goal going to take you? And then evaluate how much time you actually have to take on in completing this goal. Okay. I always use numbers because it's easier. But if I've had, a $50,000 year and I maybe don't have a lot in the sales pipeline, and I say I'm going to go to 150,000, I need to say, okay, if I'm at 50 and I want to get to 150, I need to evaluate: do I have enough sales leads? Do I have products coming through the pipeline or services coming out? How can I actually make that goal? Or would it be better to say, look, I actually would like, I think it's more realistic to double my sales this year to 100,000 based on what the time I have, what I've got coming on, right? It's that evaluation piece in between the two. So that's how you're going to decide if this goal is achievable. Relevant is so important because I want you to be thinking about, okay, if I said I was going to do X this year in my business, is this goal going to make a meaningful impact on achieving that? Because if it's not, then it's not relevant for what you're doing this year in your business, and you can shelf it, whether you use a voice memo app where you record the idea and you send it to yourself in an email and have a folder for goals and ideas to take on in 2020, or maybe you write it down in a book and you've got somewhere that you write it all, you capture it somewhere and set it aside if it's not relevant for what you're trying to do in your business this year. And usually T stands for timely, but we talk about timely when we talk about whether the goal is achievable. So I like to talk about timely and change it to thorough. And being thorough with your goal involves taking a cold, hard look at whether or not you not only have the time to complete the goal, but you have the resources and the people in place that you are going to need to accomplish this goal. Okay, there may be a goal, and I talk about your goal could be to start a Facebook group where you can have all of your tribe gather and connect. And I mean, on the surface, it looks like, well, all I need is a Facebook account and to click the button that says create group. But creating a Facebook group is so much more than that. You need to have graphics. You need to have guidelines and rules. You need to have a plan to execute engagement, to get people talking about it. You need to have a growth strategy in place. How will you grow the group, right? All of these pieces need to be considered with your goal, right? I want you to be very thorough about whether or not, do you know how to create graphics? Do you have somebody who can create them for you? Right? All of the things that are going to need to be done to creating that Facebook group you need to account for that. And you need to make sure that you either have the know-how yourself or you have somebody else to reach out to make that Facebook group, all those little pieces happen. Okay? And it could be a different goal. I just use the Facebook group because they are popular right now. And I know many of you likely have considered it. Okay, so what I want you to do now, and I'm going to give you 1 minute, and I love that there's a timer up here on my screen so I can see that. I'm going to give you 1 minute to turn the goal that you've got for yourself, write it down, and turn it into a SMART goal. 1 minute's on the clock, and I'm going to be completely quiet for that 1 minute. Okay, about another 10 seconds. If you're done, let us know in the chats. And in case you need this to remember what the letters stand for. Okay. So now we've got our goal. And it's time to figure out whether this goal aligns with your short and long-term business visions. And that's the next step in the process. And for this, I like to share a tool that I use. It's the Business Vision Quest. And it's a tool that's going to allow you to see the roadmap of where you want your business to ultimately end up. Okay? By first establishing where it is you're going, where it is that you actually want to end up. Because when you know exactly where you're going, you can start building backwards by setting goals and taking on the projects that are going to progressively move you towards that end game that you see years from now for your business. So here's how it works. I want you to just take a deep breath, close your eyes if you want to. And I want you to envision yourself 25, 30 years down the road. And yesterday, your business closed its doors. Whether you sold it, whether you had a succession plan in place, it doesn't matter. Your time with your business is over. And I want you to turn around and look back at your business. Look back at the last day with your business, the last week, the last month. What were you doing each day? Who were the clients that you were helping? What were their challenges and struggles that you were solving for them? And what tools or products or services were you using to solve those problems for them? What did your value ladder look like? And I want you to take it one step further. I want you to think about the employees you might have been employing. How are you impacting and changing their lives? And the community that you were in. How are you impacting and changing that community? What were you doing to help the community around you be a better place? Okay, so now I want you to come back and I just want you to quickly jot down some of the things you envisioned for your business. Okay. And I get asked a lot, well, why bother doing the business vision quest? What's the point? Well, with this vision quest, you actually get to figure out where it is you want your business to go. You figure out where the end point is so you can start creating that roadmap to get you there. You'll be able to do so many things with it, like put together a business plan. And my favorite is saying yes or no to opportunities with clarity and confidence. Because remember what I said about there isn't any more time. It's about being intentional about the time we have. And a lot of that is setting up the boundaries and being able to say no more. But today I want you to use your vision quest to take a look back at the goal you just turned into a SMART goal. And I want you to ask yourself, does this goal align with the long-term vision you just identified? Is it going to move you closer to the end game that you just saw? Because if it's not, then it's taking up time from goals that are going to move you to that end game, and it needs to be shelved. Okay? So once you have set the goal and the goal has passed the vision quest test, and yes, it does align with your short-term and long-term goals for your business, I want to show you how to create that roadmap that I've talked about. And this actually comes from my time as I was a former teacher and I do homeschool my kids currently, but it actually comes from my time as a special need mom. It's a slide that we saw a lot as we were learning about my daughter's autism. And I want you to think of that end game that you just envisioned as the little boy with the sandwich sitting in front of him. That's where you want to be. But as I said, any goal, any project always has little tasks that need to happen throughout to get you to where you want to be. And right now, you're not that little boy with the sandwich. You are at that last slide there, and I think you guys can see my mouse if I do this, with the 2 pieces of bread sitting in front of you. And all the steps that you need to have to achieve to get you to the little boy with the sandwich become the tasks, right? The task of buttering the bread, the task of cutting the cheese and the tomatoes and putting the toppings on the sandwich, as well as putting the sandwich top on, putting it on the plate, and becoming that boy. Okay? So creating a roadmap is about identifying each one of those steps, each one of those tasks. And it could also be revenue. It could be that you want to make $50,000 in your business this year and breaking that down and saying, okay, that's going to be $4,200 a month, $1,000 a week. And I am standing here where I am not making $1,000 a week yet. So that's the immediate tasks. And then each one of those tasks gets broken down into even further tasks. And I'll show you exactly what I mean with this goal worksheet that I have. And I'll tell you how you can get this worksheet as well. So if we're looking at that goal of making $50,000 a year, and I say, yeah, I need to make $42,000 net each month, that then gets broken down into smaller tasks, okay? So task number 1, spend 3 to 5 hours each week doing sales calls. Well, that task then needs to be broken down into a few more tasks, right? The idea is, and you can see I've done that again with the next one, upsell current clients. The idea is that you are breaking these tasks down to the nitty gritty. Remember, they're getting specific so that you have smaller, more manageable tasks that you can quickly and easily slide into your schedule, okay? Rather than looking at a big goal or a big project and going, oh my gosh, I don't even know how, where, when, why. Like, I don't even know how to even start this, right? This process is meant for you to know how to start. Remember when I said at the beginning, people give up mostly because they don't know where to start? This process is going to allow you to do that, because you should be able to see by now this roadmap. It's like, okay, I broke it all down. These are the tasks. All right, this is where I need to start, right? I need to block off time in my calendar. I need to get a pipeline together. I need to figure out my lead generations. It gives you an easy place to start. And there's a little bit more to this. That's part 1 of the roadmap. The other piece of this goal planning, this goal completion worksheet, is knowing the people that you need to reach out to as well. Because remember, when I said about the goal being thorough, it means ensuring that you have the tools, the resources, and the people in place to make this goal happen. Okay? And then priorities. Each day you'd have a list, or each week you'd have a list of priorities, and you can see some there associated with this goal of things that have to get done. These are the things that have to get done this week to move that goal forward. And then the next week, I would be going back to my task list here and saying, okay, what are the next things that need to get done this week to keep moving forward, right? You're constantly checking in on these goals. You're constantly looking for your return, because you want to make sure that this sure enough is moving you towards the goal that you want. Okay. So after you've got that, remember I said you've got these smaller, more manageable tasks that you can slide into your schedule. You may be saying, Samantha, my schedule is already crazy, and you just gave me a list of 15 more things that I need to do. Well, now I'm going to show you how to protect the time in your schedule that you need to complete it. And I call it getting real about your schedule. And I'm just showing you this sample schedule, because getting real about your schedule means putting everything into one spot everything that you have to do each day into one spot so you can get a bird's eye view of where your time is actually going, and then figure out where you can slot these smaller, more manageable tasks in. And I want you to put everything on that schedule, from, driving the kids to and from school. I know it's the summer, but we still need to do that. Maybe it's camp that they're going to. Bedtime routines, bath nights, everything right down to your own shower. And once I could do all of that, and that's everything in the blue and the black, I could then come in with all of the items in red, all the tasks in red that need to happen to run my business, to keep my business going, right? The cold calling. That's that. If I'm doing that for an hour, that's one of my 3 to 5 hours a day from my goal of earning $4,200 a month to making that happen. Okay. Lead generation. Again, those are the people that I'm going to call in my next hour, right? I've got a collaboration. That's how I'm going to get into new markets. Okay. So you can see now, once you look at this, you're going, oh, okay, this is how much time I actually have. Because a lot of the time we think, oh, well, the kids are in school from 9 to 3:30, so I've got 6 hours. But the reality is I don't. I've got to drive back to the office. I have to get settled in and organized. At some point, I'm going to do lunch. Chances are, if you work from home like me, you might do some meal prep, right? There's so many little things that we don't account for. And then we sit there and kick ourselves, and we can't figure out why in that 6 hours, we only got 3 hours worth of work done. Okay, when you get real about your schedule in this way, you've got it all right here in front of you. You know exactly where your time's going, and you have a bird's eye view of figuring out how much time you actually have to take on those smaller, more manageable tasks for achieving your goal. Okay, now I don't dive into the last two because that really is all about who you know, who you work well with, and how you work best. You know all of those things. So I want you to find someone to hold you accountable and then get to work. Those last two are very personalized, so there's not much for me to say about them. But, and this happens to me, what do you do when a shiny new opportunity jumps into your path? That always happens. We set our goals in the beginning of January, and then some other things come up that, of course, we didn't know about in January, and we think, that is a really good opportunity. It might be something you believe in or someone you want to collaborate with, something that you're seeing dollar signs in. You know that you need to focus, which is that acronym, follow one course until success, and to keep going on with the goals that you've set in January. But this looks like a really great opportunity that you need to jump on. Who's nodding their head? You can tell us in the comments if you're nodding your head. Yep, that has happened to me. It sure has happened to me. And that's why I talk about my action plan template. Because the action plan helps you assess a shiny new opportunity before jumping in. It's going to allow you to take a thorough look at the opportunity so you can decide with all the facts in front of you. Yeah, Tanya, I hear you, right? Some huge new opportunities throw the plans out the window sometimes. The action plan template is about you putting down the information, taking the time to thoroughly assess it so you can make an informed decision, have everything at that bird's eye view piece, right? I hear you, Tanya. I hear you. So what I want people to, and we can talk about that in the Q&A, what I want you to think about is before you take any action on these new opportunities, I want you to ensure that this goal ties back to the overall vision and plans for your business. And that means answering questions like the ones on the screen here. It fits into my business plans here. It fits into my plans for the year here. It's going to account for this percentage of revenue over the course of the year, quarter, month. And you've always got to look at your ideal client, right? You shouldn't be taking any action that isn't going to add value for your ideal client. So you're answering questions like, what is the target audience for this project or opportunity? And how does that target audience connect with my ideal client? And what value will this opportunity add for my ideal client? And if it passes all of those tests, then it's time to say, okay, well, how am I going to make this opportunity happen? Well, you're going to use the plan to go process. Start at the beginning, set the goal, create the roadmap, get it all down. And unfortunately, or fortunately, it depends on how your outlook on this, it's going to mean that something else has to wait because you don't have more time to take on a new project. Something else has to give. And that's why I want you to use that action plan template to really assess that if something else is going to give, this is going to do what you think it's going to do. Okay. So we've talked a little bit about all of this, and your head is probably floating. I want you to just take some time, and you can do this after the webinar if you want, and answer this, finish this sentence. It's 30 days from now, and it's 30 days from now, and what will you have accomplished in your goal? Where will your goal stand? Because it may be a goal that takes more than 30 days. So where will you be 30 days from now? And I like to put that on my fridge, on my bathroom mirror. It reminds me, it keeps it front and center, right? What we focus on expands. It keeps it front and center of where I want to be 30 days from now. And I do it each month because my business is always moving. And that's why we have to celebrate those small wins. Remember I said, because our business is always moving. It's about the journey. Yes, we're going somewhere. Yes, now that we've done our vision quest, we have an end game in mind. But it's going to be a journey to get there. Okay? So for anybody who is, oh yeah, I need to dive deeper, I need to spend more time into this, or I want the action plan template or the goal completion worksheet, you can dive deeper into this with our free Plan to Grow challenge. It's a 4-day challenge that shows up in your inbox. And you just go to fempirebuilders.com/challenge. Okay, and it's completely free, and it just gives you an opportunity and a workbook to really dive even further into this process. And of course, I wanted to not just come in and do my spiel and leave. Feel free to connect with me. We've got our Facebook page, our Twitter page, our Instagram account. Heck, I've even given you my email address because I would love to be a part of this. Fempire Builders is on a mission to give women across Canada the tools they need to build sustainable, profitable businesses surrounded by Canadian women who get it. And I'm so excited to be out here. I'm so excited that WESC allowed me to come and chat with you guys. And I'm so excited that things like WESC exist because we need it. We need to feel that we are not alone. And on that note, I also invite you can join our free Facebook group. It's the Fempire Business Building Community on Facebook. We would love to have you jump in and join. It's where we mastermind, we connect, we network, and have fun with women across Canada. Okay, so with that, let's open it up for Q&A. You can ask me your questions in the chat box here, and I will make sure that I am ready to answer them. I see some people are typing. I hope, Tanya, that this kind of gives you some tools to create a roadmap that's going to help you balance the regular plans while getting the new business opportunity live that you have going. Okay, let's get this camera back on too, because I would love to say hello if I can. I see people typing questions, so yay! I love questions. There we go. I'm just shuffling around here while you guys do that. This is something that I basically learned the hard way, but it came from years of working. I worked in the corporate and the small business world. I used to make up to 150 to 200 cold calls a day, and you really had to be intentional about what you were doing. I was managing, doing project management and customer service management in small businesses, and, so many moving pieces that it just became second nature to me. Tanya says, thank you. It's a start. We had visions and goals defined, and then an opportunity jumped up and we couldn't say no. See, this is what I'm saying, right? Those things. It had all the great things needed. Now the making the best use of my time is what I'm looking for. So I love that. And I love that this was helpful for you. And again, right? It's a place to start. It's so hard when we don't even know where to start. Okay, we've got another question. What are some of the venture capitalist seed accelerator programs I could apply to get my business started? There are a lot of different opportunities, and that's not something that I'm chatting about today, but what I would suggest you do is chat with the ladies at WESC, chat with the community, because they're going to be able to help you understand. I'm based in Ontario. We're across Canada, but I live out here in Ontario. And I always tell people, go to, whether it's your chambers of commerce, if you have small business enterprise centers, or organizations like WESC, book an appointment, go in there and see what resources they offer, because they're going to be able to guide you through what's available in your community. And you want to tap into those communities first, because that's always, they want to see you succeed, right? If a prospective client tells me that they don't deal with a small company, that is an interesting outlook, Jasmine. A lot of the time I will ask them, why not? What is it that because chances are they've had a bad experience with a small company, whether they've been burned or, the timelines, what was promised wasn't delivered. There's got to be a reason why they don't want to deal with you. And a lot of the time it's as simple as asking them why. Because, and pointing it out, when I deal with a small business, whether it's somebody that I'm buying jewelry or clothes from in the direct sales business, or, my bookkeeper, anybody like that, I'm going to get more attention than if I go to a big business. So it always surprises me when somebody doesn't want to deal with small businesses, in which case I ask them why. I try to get the story, because there's always a story. And then I can go from there and kind of explain to them how my business is built with solid foundations in piece that isn't going to let that happen to them. And at the end of the day, they may just not be the client for you. And that's okay. It's okay to say, okay, well, sorry, I'm sorry that that's not going to work out, or that we're not a good fit, and good luck in your search. Okay. So Dana, you're seeing a struggle with the big picture end goal. Can I tell you that happens? Some people will say to me, especially people who are in our Level Up Bootcamp program, which is a paid training that we have, they'll say, when we go through this part, I can't see that far. And so I say to them, okay, can you see where you want to be in a year? Can you see where you want to be in 3 years, in 5 years? Because even if it's just a year and you know where you want to be in a year, you can still take on the projects and set the goals that are going to get you there, right? Get a little bit. Some people can't see that far in advance. Some people, for me, it was very hard because, I'm a little bit, scared of commitment, we'll say. And that was really hard for me. So start by, 3 months if you have to, 6 months if you have to, a year from now. Where do you want to be? And work backwards from there. Do you think that might help you get started, Dana? The other thing that you can do is, feel free to go to our site, fempirebuilders.com/challenge, and get this delivered into your inbox, because that'll at least allow you the time to let it wash over you, right? We've had 45 minutes together, but sometimes it takes more for the ideas to percolate and get going, and it allows it to wash over for you. So I hope one of those things I hope you'll do both, but I hope that one of those suggestions will help you, because I think sometimes it doesn't have to be the end. Let's at least get you started, even if it's short term. Okay, I see Jasmine is typing now. So if anybody else has any questions, feel free, jump in. Let's have this discussion, because I love talking about it. I love it. And I'm so excited. Like I was out in Saskatchewan, L'Orange. So I was up in northern Saskatchewan last year, and it was really nice. I really enjoyed it. All right, Jasmine, how do you deal with a prospective client who doesn't know how to respond, and after you will reply and would say, stop flooding my emails and my machines? How often do you do cold callings? So if I'm going to be doing cold callings, it's usually, I try to set aside 3 to 5 hours a week. These are usually leads. Hopefully they're leads that I've generated from other places. So whether it's networking in a Facebook group, whether it is showing up at an event, or networking at, a local small business event, these are people that I've met. And a lot of the time I'll say to them, hey, let's go have coffee. Let's tell me what you do. And then, what I do comes out. But if you have somebody that's saying to you, stop flooding my emails and my machine, then chances are that's somebody I would walk away from. Okay, because they're not interested in what you have right now. They're not seeing the value in what you're offering, and that's on them. You can be generating leads in other places. So that's why I had it included in that schedule, lead generation, because that means you at least have some warm leads that you're not just picking up the phone. But sometimes we do, and it might be an in-person thing. Sometimes depending on what you offer, it might be better to, pick an area and target that area and just walk around and see who you can chat with and meet. Sometimes it's picking up the phones. I mean, when I was making 150 to 200 cold calls a day, I was calling secretaries across Canada. I was talking to, actually, I did a lot of work in Saskatchewan, and they would just, they would do the same thing. Nobody's available. They don't have time. Stop calling here. In which case, once somebody says to me, stop calling here, then I'm going to set them away. I'm going to put them down, because I don't want to be bothering them. Right? That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to provide value. So I think that if they don't know how to respond, or they're telling you to stop calling them, they're not seeing your value. And that's on them. So right now I would leave them alone. And then later I would leave them alone. And over time I would research and really figure out what my value proposition is. What challenge could they be having that I can solve for them? And I would tailor my pitch and make it unique to them and show them that I've researched them, that I've been following them. And then I might go back to them in 6 months. But right now I would leave them alone. I hope that helps. Any more questions before we wrap up? Okay, I don't see that anybody's typing, so I will throw it back over to Josie.
All right. Well, thanks, Samantha, for sharing some great information with us today. I want to say thank you to all of you who were able to join us on today's webinar. Like I said earlier, this webinar was recorded, and it will be available on our website for on-demand viewing within a couple days. Our next upcoming webinar will be on August 20th, and you can visit our website, wesk.ca, for more details. Bye, everybody, and have a great afternoon.